Sony used to make rice cookers, which is crazy. I read this story from a book called Made to Stick, and they used to make rice cookers before they even got into electronics. So the history is kind of, they were in the war, the depression, around those different times, and so rice cookers, like, people were struggling, so that was their service, rice cookers. And I have an Instapot, so it kind of resonates a little bit more. But then I think one of their engineers wanted to do something crazy and offer basically music in your pocket. How does that sound familiar? Steve Jobs, right? 10,000 songs in your pocket. But Sony did it first, and so they shifted, and it basically is history now, but they shifted from the rice cookers, and then they, of course, made the Walkman and all these different things with songs in your pocket, so people could listen to the radio. It wasn't songs, but it was listening to the radio. And of course, radio, then we have tapes, then we have CDs, and that's how Sony became. And the thing that is interesting about that and how it relates to the Apple, the iPhone or the iPod, is that they got into a niche that didn't exist. Like, the product was something new, was something brand new. And the easiest way you're able to know this, things like that will be successful, is like a show like Shark Tank, because they'll ask, is this proprietary? Is anybody else doing it? And nobody else was doing it at the time. So when they did it, it was revolutionary. This similar to how the iPod was revolutionary. So when they got into it, they were the first player, they were the fastest to market, and of course it blew up, and now the rest is history. But it's interesting, and you know, that people, businesses will shift from, I'm in a completely different category. I'm in the cooking category. Like, I could have been home and garden, but now I'm in the electrics category, because they had good people and innovative people at the time who took a risk and decided to do something that they didn't necessarily think was possible. And so whenever I'm talking to a client, I'll give you an example. I had a client come to me, and he was selling skincare, and he was like, I want to go into the skincare, or I have a skincare product, and I'm going to my market is like women between these ages. And I'm talking to him like, hey, the skincare market is competitive. And I was like, how did you come up with it? He was like, well, I had issues with my skin and all these different things. I'm like, well, I understand that the women's skincare market is larger, but I can't think of a skincare. I know there's men's skincare brands, but I can't think of one off the top of my head that I would just choose automatically. And so if you can be a little fish or a big fish in a small pond, a lot of times it's better than being a big fish in a big pond, because the big fish in a big pond, there's sharks in there, there's all types of stuff in there. Now, if you can find your own little lake as far as a niche, then you're more likely to be successful. And if your lake is, let's say, $100 million category as compared to $100 billion category, you can still win, especially when you're a small business. So that's one of the lessons that Sony story teaches me.